Hi everyone, this is me, JP. Can you see me? Hang on, let me move the camera a bit. Let's see if that helped. Okay, my history video. This is part 2. Last video, we talked about the Romans and how they came to Britain, but didn't go really into Wales, Scotland, Ireland. I mean, they did. They knew about the places. They did. What do you call it when? Import-export stuff with them, but they didn't conquer them. They only conquered Britain, really. Okay, so there's the decline and fall of the Roman Empire, and for many reasons that I'm not going to go into right now. Actually, look it up online or on a book. It's far too many reasons. Now, let's talk about Ireland. That was a complete different thing. Ireland wasn't conquered by the Romans, but traded with them. And so Roman Empire goes into decline and fall. Ireland was sort of like its own island. I mean, it is an island, but it was really its own, like on its own. Yet big trading partner was Roman Britain, the Romans in Britain, and but it was its own thing, its own nation, but around the year 400 of our current era, 400, it all comes to an end, basically. Decline and fall of Roman Empire is no longer. Read about that. So basically Ireland's biggest trading partner is no more. But instead of Ireland itself falling into decline like every other nation did, not every other, but most nations, it has sort of like a cultural, intellectual, etc., like a rebirth of the arts, culture, religion, everything. Now, let me go back to the Romans in general, end of the Roman period. Now, before, they were pagan. Then a new religion comes along, which is Christianity. And it wasn't Catholics, Protestants, it was just all Christians. And there were other religions too, but this was beginning to be the major one, the bigger one, and there's lots of information about that on the internet. It's all fascinating. And so Christianity was brought to Britain first, before Ireland, and there was a man whom I think is absolutely wonderful. The human being did a lot more for humanity than most people, and was St. Patrick. And real briefly on St. Patrick, because he did a lot of stuff. I don't have time to go through all of it. He was enslaved by the Irish, taken to Ireland. He wasn't born in Ireland, he was born in Britain, taken to Ireland at the age of 16, lived there for many years as a slave, escapes, lives in Britain again, comes back as an older man to Ireland, brings Christianity to Ireland, and thanks to his efforts, and this is really like, I'm telling you, decades of history and like that much, really thanks to him that there are lots of, monasteries were open, thanks to him, and throughout Ireland, him and his followers that came after him in the 400s, the 5th century of our time, and basically it was centers of culture. And because people would read in the monasteries, and they do art, they do amazing books. I want to just, sorry, I'm about to fall here. Pause for a second. One of my happiest moments in my life, I was in the Trinity College in Dublin. Beautiful college. It was founded by Queen Elizabeth I, the one with the red hair and the makeup. And she, in the 16th century, so many centuries later, more than 1,000 years later, and And there they have the Book of Kells. And it's important to talk about the Book of Kells now because it's beautiful in the library there. Because in many ways, thanks to St. Patrick and his followers, oh gosh, so many saints that came out of there, out of his monasteries and monasteries that were put throughout Ireland. It's thanks to them that medieval books were created, and just beautiful, stunning books. If you can imagine, each one made by hand, each page made by hand, and with such detail, and thick books, and with gold leaf and beautiful works of art. And Ireland, in a sense, was art. Actually, it was actually the biggest, the most impressive pieces of jewelry of the early Middle Ages were from Ireland. And it's just a beautiful time in Ireland, and a lot of that is thanks to people like St. Patrick that created these centers of learning. I mean, there were no universities back then, that didn't exist. There were monasteries. And so really thanks to that, people like St. Patrick, I mean, they did a lot for Ireland and for the world. And so anyway, so yeah, thanks to St. Patrick. Back to the story. St. Patrick dies, he has his followers put monasteries throughout Ireland. And some of them go beyond Ireland. They go to the Hebrides in Scotland, which is, if you don't know, I have a map, here it comes, I have a map, just 2 seconds. Okay. A map of the world. It actually shows where, okay, I'm sweating, I'm sorry, it's boiling hot out. Ireland. St. Patrick came from Britain to Ireland, back to Britain, back to Ireland. Then they went to his followers, not him himself, his followers went to Scotland, which is up here. Then down to England. And then followers after that went on into the rest of Europe. But that will come later. Okay, that was, I don't know if you could actually see that. His followers, 5th, 6th, 7th centuries, so several hundred years, actual followers and followers of their followers, went, okay, Ireland gets full of monasteries, place of learning, worship, people ask questions, why are we here, who are we, what is God, God is love, what is love, etc., etc. They just ask themselves so many questions, and there's books upon books, and wow, if you really want to think, Anyway, finally, okay, so monasteries in Ireland, lots of them. Not all of them are there anymore, but some are, or at least they're ruined. They go to Scotland, more monasteries there, from there to England, and I will pause in England. I will leave you with the thought of, monasteries created in England from Irish, a lot thanks to St. Patrick actually, and his followers, and actually in England there were books as well that are done in a sort of Celtic inspired style, very similar to the Book of Kells. Like, go to the library, the British Library, which, if you're a Harry Potter fan, they filmed the outside of the library there, and you have Harry Potter tours that go by the British Library, and yeah, anyway, and actually go inside and go and look at, it's called the Lindisfarne Gospel. Last note, Lindisfarne is in the north of England, below Scotland, north of England, still part of England, not Scotland. It's an island on itself. A strict monastery way of life, get up early, go to bed early, eat only basically vegan food, pray multiple times a day, etc., etc. Very strict. And they created a book very